Doesn't it seem like everybody and their mother has a podcast? Oh, oh, so I started a podcast with my mom. We wanted a theme song so you could sing along. The show, it starts now. Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. You look so festive with your virtual background and your tie-dye. I love this. Tell me about how you're feeling.
I'm feeling good. I'm fine. I thought it might be a little busy, and then I thought, oh well.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's funny because I'm wearing like muted colors, but my background is like my office, my studio. So there's a lot going on. So it's like, wow, there's so much going on here. Meanwhile, it's like a lot's going on back there also.
It doesn't look like a lot going on back there. There's a lot of things of interest to look at.
Yeah.
But it's so neat. I mean, your space is so neat that people are going to think it's a virtual background because nobody's room looks like that.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Except for maybe your Uncle Michael's.
There's a couple audiophiles, musicians.
I mean, I know people but look at that.
There's
and then I have this like chaotic painting.
Well, there's a balance to it. It's funny because there's like, for the eagle-eyed musician, they'll spot some really cool things that took a lifetime to collect up here. I will show you while we're here, and I have it set up, my theremin.
Your theremin.
And the theremin, for those of you who aren't familiar, is an instrument. It's actually the first electronic instrument. Predates the guitar, predates the synthesizer. And the closer you get to this bar right here, the higher the pitch goes. It's actually the story of Leo Terman, Dr. Terman, this Russian scientist, is like fascinating. I'm shocked no one's made a film about it yet. They made a documentary. There's a documentary, but I feel like it would be this incredible fictionalized story. The short of it is he invented this thing because he's a mad genius. And he had a young lady who at the time was like 16 years old become the like preeminent performer, Clara, I want to say Rockmore. And he fell in love. And the instrument became like all the rage in the world. This like mad scientist out of Russia created this thing. And the KGB didn't like that, so they disappeared him. One day he just vanished, gone. No one knew where he was. World famous inventor, gone. The end.
Never heard from again?
No, like 25 years later, they decided he's been in wherever long enough and just let him out as an old man. And in this documentary, they reintroduce him and this woman who he had this affair with, but they're both, older people, much older people. And it's just like devastating. I mean, it's like they meet and it's this amazing like reunion, but also I think 30 years have passed in between these lives. And he says like that time of his life must be a dream. Like as far as he's concerned, it wasn't a real part of his existence. It was this like fantasy thing. Very, very sad, but also it's what happened. And he left us with this incredible instrument that became like the engineering foundation for what later became the Moog synthesizers and electric guitars and all these things in the late 50s and 60s that just made music happen. So this one has a little bit of pitch correction. It helps us non-master theremin players.
So how long do you think it will be before we get to the point where you and I can Zoom and you can have a theremin on your desk and I can play it by some interface on my I don't know, whatever.
That's already here. There are some collaborative musician tools that would allow you and I to like make a track, produce instruments, produce a song using like from across the globe in real time and both be looking at the same file session. That's already here. And so if we're looking at the same file session, being able to control what your instrument is over there with some sort of controller device I have over here is very much present day.
Okay, so are we done now?
Yeah, but
Just too much.
well, this is funny because I've been receding into sort of 80s movies a little bit as a response to just sort of the general feelings I've had during the day, and you know, work's going well, but it's intense. So we've been watching
Austin Powers?
we
Austin-
did watch Austin Powers. That was a 90s or early thousands movie. Jeez, that movie's
Oh, who can remember what decade anything is anymore?
no, but we watched 2 nights in a row, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and then the next night, E.T. So both 80s and 90s, but sort of in the
Very, very good. I thought you were going to say Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is coming up next Sunday. And I thought you were going to talk about
how do you know when Judgment Day is?
so T2.
It is next Sunday. How do you know this?
T2 is probably my number one favorite movie, unless I'm forgetting something at the moment. And then at some point I watched the first Terminator movie and it was like so serene and
Yeah.
gentle and not hoppy and doesn't have all this stuff in it. It's just linear
Yeah,
and simplistic, and it's
it's a very linear time travel
doesn't
movie.
matter if it's the best movie or not, but it's such a nice companion to T2 and what they did. And Arnold is so good. And Linda, oh my goodness, Hamilton. And I was also inspired because she was in the cell. I'm not giving anything away. If you haven't
No.
seen C2, you need
That's
to
on-
go right now.
That's
and
on you. Yeah,
watch it. You know, this is like,
come on.
and she's exercising on the floor and on the bed. And that's when I said, oh, wait, I have like no excuse. I just
Well,
loved that. And Edward Furlong was the son.
yeah, and we watched actually the extended edition. I guess it's either extended or potentially director's cut. And I cannot advise people watch this cut. I would suggest if you are a
Didn't they
fan,
change something with the guy at the end?
they didn't
The
change
robot
any.
guy at the end.
They didn't change anything that would change. They didn't change anything, but there are additional scenes and many scenes that we know and love that are just longer by 30 seconds or 2 minutes, just enough to throw you off. Be like, have I heard that before? I don't remember hearing that. It's a very sort of, and the scenes that they cut out is actually like a bit of a masterclass in editing because the stuff they cut out, they should
Who
not.
cut out from what?
The
I love
original theatrical release came out. We all know it and love it. And then at some point in the last 20 something years,
The director's cut had an additional scene that had been cut out. from the
scenes, like an
original.
additional 30 minutes, like it's peppered throughout the movie. So it's not like this one scene where like, oh, that one scene was
Yeah.
cut. It's like little shaving bits of fat off of the scene. So it's just enough to keep me on my toes and be like, oh, I don't think I know that line. But the stuff they cut out,
That line.
it's the stuff they cut out was correct, and it's largely Edward Furlong extended scenes. I love that movie, and I loved him in that movie. I loved him in the cut of that movie. In the extended edition, you can tell that he's like not that great, and there are scenes where it's super awkward, and they cut them out for good reason. So watch that one. Can't really recommend it, but if you're a super fan, to watch it. But I have to go back. So I don't think I could have quoted exactly when Judgment Day in the film is supposed to be until this last viewing. And the reason that it stood out to me is because it was my girlfriend's first time seeing the film, and Judgment Day falls on her birthday. And I did not know that until we heard Linda Hamilton give the voiceover of it. And we both just looked at each other. And that was weird. And then
Is she really looking forward to her birthday this year? It's
well,
gonna-
Judgment Day, it's okay. Judgment Day, where the nuclear holocaust happens, isn't until 2028, which in the 90s seemed like really far away, but 2028 is like not that long from now.
And really, we have other things to think about.
And the next night we watched E.T., the Extraterrestrial, which if you've not seen E.T. in the last 5 years, let alone 30 years, please do yourselves and your loved ones a favor and watch it. It's just everything you remembered and more. It gives, I find new things in it every time I see it.
That's such a precious film. What do you, because there's certain scenes that come to my mind instantly, like it's Halloween and the little ghost falls over. And then there's somebody playing in the closet with this hat and a flower pot. And it's like,
There was a scene in the beginning.
excuse
There
me,
is a
it's a
scene,
perfect film because like maybe all perfect films, it's a love story.
yes. Well, it's a story of belonging. And I think that the parts of it around belonging weren't as obvious until more recent viewing. So I will say that there, I was a kid when it came out. Someone we knew had a bootleg copy. So for those of us who are listening who are under a certain age, not only were things not reran on TV, you didn't see them in the theater, like you just never saw them. But then things would come out in video, but there'd be this big gap. It wasn't these 3-month windows where you had to wait, or 2 weeks, or same day and date. It was like months and months and months. So ET was a cultural phenomenon, and then it left the theater, and you had no way to see it until it came out in video. And so bootlegs were made. People would either pay a projectionist friend to like sneak next to them, or they sneaked a big ass camera into the theater. So we got our hands on one of them, and I was probably 5 or 6 years old, 5 years old, and the neighbor and I used to watch the movie and dare each other to keep our
How old were you when ET came out?
5, 6.
Oh, this is soon after. Okay.
It was in the theater. I was too young to see it in the theater, and then everyone was talking about it, and then a bootleg fell into our hands, and we used to dare each other to keep our eyes open during the scene when ET and Elliot first met each other in the cornfields, because it's terrifying. ET, the first 20 minutes of ET is a horror movie.
I'm trying to think of the opening, and all I can see is Close Encounters when Dreyfus is in the car and he's waiting for the light, and the train track lights, everything goes mad and crazy. When you said that, that's all I could see, and that's a different movie.
Well, they're related.
Yeah, Spielberg.
Well, Spielberg was he was trying to make an ET type thing and wrote this story and realized it was an adult movie, and then took the kid ideas separately. And Melissa Matheson, he said, if you can write a story where people laugh and cry, you'll have a hit. And here's like the scraps from Close Encounter. And she came back with ET. I think I have that right.
Thank you for reminding me that.
So we used to dare each other to watch the scene because it's super scary. So it is a scary movie in the beginning. And then,
excuse me, are there dogs and men with lanterns running?
There are men with
field?
walkie-talkies and keys, a lot of key jingling. And this is where
And
it gets
dogs.
super.
There's dogs in there, aren't
There
there?
was not a dog.
I haven't seen it for a long time.
There's a
Interesting.
family
Okay.
dog. But this is kind of the point I'm taking too long to get to. The villain in the movie E.T., the villains in the movie E.T., the antagonists, are the government and scientists.
Mhm.
And E.T.,
Wait, not all the scientists. One of the scientists is a helper.
at the end, we find out he's there to help, and obviously this couldn't have gone any other way because E.T. is not healthy and he has to leave. So we're here to help. But in the beginning, E.T. is with his pod. They land. Remember what they're here for? I'm taking way too much time on this, but I love this movie so much. They're just collecting plants.
Plant samples.
It's an anti-colonial.
remember.
It's an anti-colonial message. There's nothing about E.T. that follows any tropes of any other invasion movies. The aliens are going to come here. They want to meet us. They want to talk to us. They want to destroy us. Take our resources. They're on a fact-finding mission. You think about the colonial, anti-colonial elements of E.T., and they were here to collect plants, and then he got lost, and the bad guys, quote, were like just scientists who wanted to know what happened with his landing.
But that perhaps was because it was, she wrote it so beautifully. It was this experience through the eyes of a child.
That's right.
Or a young extraterrestrial.
That's right. Everything's shot
Who
low.
was lost and it wasn't his home planet. Their home planet.
Yeah.
And they were scared. So we were seeing it through E.T.'s eyes.
We were.
He was scared.
Well, Elliot's eyes.
Well, yeah, but it's written through E.T.'s eyes. Yes.
That's what I'm seeing. This is what I'm saying. I watched it this time.
That's why they were simpatico and connected.
Well, they,
They
I mean,
shared the experience, literally.
and that's probably my answer to the thing that stuck out the most when they met each other in the cornfield.
Yeah.
E.T. throws the ball back. Elliot sees it. The next night, they see each other in the cornfield. When he first realizes that E.T. is there, Elliot's face changes and the connection happens at first moment.
Right there.
I never
know.
realized that. I thought it took a couple of days. So the next morning he wakes up, it's not because he feels like finding E.T. He has to find E.T. He's just like newly empowered to only be able to do that. And it's a story about like
A love story. The perfect
dad
story.
wasn't in the picture.
What?
Dad wasn't in the picture. He was in Mexico with his new girlfriend. There weren't a lot of divorce stories in the early 80s like that. The kids had no family unit. He was searching to be
Wait a
known.
minute. What kids had no family unit? There were 3 kids and their mother.
Right, talking about where the father is. And he was in
Well, that was their
Mexico.
family unit. Was their mother and the 3 kids. Was
A new family unit. These kids were getting used to a father not being around who had been around and took them places all the time up until very recently.
Okay. Interestingly, I don't remember that.
I didn't remember that either. And I'm watching this and I'm like, oh
It didn't
shit.
really play for me.
And at the risk of taking too much time for ET, I want to say that the music, as soon as the score started, I instantly sunk into my seat and felt relaxed and excited. And all these like sensory things came back because that music was a big part of our household growing up. My dad would and you would play the songs. We had the double record, the LP of the soundtrack by John Williams. I maintain that John Williams might be the person who's positively touched the most amount of people in the history of time. His songs. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm just excited.
Please continue.
Just that his songs are in many of the most famous movies of all time. And so all the energy and feelings and excitement people have with their favorite movies, they've, like me, transferred that love and feeling onto the music. So when we hear it, it brings us back to this place. And it was done in a time where monoculture was a thing and a movie could dominate everything. So I maintain that Williams might be the most positive impact on global culture as a Westerner that I can think of, which I just like.
And also Spielberg.
I would argue that the songs from Spielberg movies go beyond the passion for Spielberg movies.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, if John Williams, and I'm likely to agree with what you said, has a high ranking. How did you explain it? The most.
Oh, sure, the most like positive impact. Yeah, yes.
Spielberg has also had the most effect on people.
Yeah.
Through his films.
And so I'm listening to this music and I'm like touched by it, moved by it, and I'm remembering being 6, 7 years old at home and talking about like music motifs. My dad saying, "Can you pick out that instrument?" And you know, how does that get to here? And what time signature is this? Like a music education through these songs of E.T. And then I realized that I have your speakers. So I'm listening to this music that I have this experience from 35, 40 years ago on the same exact.
What did I think when I was pregnant with you?
So it was like listening to the music literally the same way that I listened to the music so long ago.
Oh, very cool. So
yeah.
So I'm reaching back. I don't remember now which the films were, but it was E.T. There were 3 Superman. There were 3 films: E.T., Superman, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's right.
That the themes by all by John Williams. I remember that. And I knew that they were different, but I couldn't quite remember. It was like I was checking house keys today, and I knew that this key 1 and key 2 were not the same house key, but I couldn't quite see why. My brain knew it, but so those three songs the 3 scores, I knew that they were different. But when I would hear one, I'd have to think, which one is that? Meanwhile, you were like 6 years old and David was 8. And David also could hum the beginning of 2 different scores and he made it sound different. And I was like, how did they hear that?
Well, Dad was teaching us.
Your father would sing or play or play it on the keyboard or the piano, or actually play the the song, the music, recorded music. And he would say, "What's the movie?" And you two always got them right. And they, to me, sound, I know they're different, I know they're unique, but the theme, but I couldn't do that. I still don't, I
He
probably.
used to challenge us. He used to challenge us to go beyond that and would say, like, hum for me the verse main theme of Superman, and then when it goes into the sort of bridge chorus of Superman, switch to Indiana Jones. And so we'd hum these things and do like these like vocal mixtape.
Don't all
type.
kids learn that at home from their father?
And then we're watching ET, and the first time I start crying, I paused it because I wanted to see how long it took them to get me there.
Was it when they put him in the chute to take him to check him out when he doesn't feel well?
When
the
he was,
when the plant wilts?
oh, by that time, tissues don't even, you stop. By that,
Well,
by
like,
that
you know,
point,
it's gonna-
by that point in the movie, you just let it happen and just finish it later. I'm talking about the first time. It was
Oh, when
30.
the kids fly on bicycles?
That definitely did it too. That's actually like 12 minutes to that before the end of the movie. The pacing of this
Oh,
movie.
right, I'm out of order.
No, that was a discovery rewatching this. So the
I'm trying
movie
to think of, is it when that he kisses a little girl at school?
that is really sweet. Played by Erica Eleniak. We're watching that, and
I don't know who
my
that is.
girlfriend goes, "Is that little girl someone?" I go, "Yeah, it's Erica Eleniak. You might know her from Under Siege, or from rattled off a couple movies." And she's like, "No, how do you know that?" I'm like, "I don't know." But the person who grabs them and pulls them apart is an uncredited Harrison Ford
The teacher?
principal.
The principal was Harrison Ford. You know, I have to watch this movie now. I have to go. Hit me up later.
And the last
I
obnoxious
have
fact
to-
is, I think the entire story takes place over 5 days. It's quick.
You really know your movies.
Well, I
That-
just watched
that
it.
was really interesting. I'm very excited about that. So it's, oh, wow, that's amazing. Harrison Ford. What were they like testing out how he would do for future films?
It was after the 3 original Star Wars, so it was a little nod. And there's like 4 Star Wars references in ET just because it was of the moment, and
Oh,
it's
what
cool.
fun. I definitely have to watch that.
I didn't mean to make this whole episode about ET, but I just am
Well,
so
it was
excited by
fun.
it.
I liked it.
And when I think about like the other topics that I've gotten down, wormholes in, this is an okay one.
Yes, and you're enthusiastic and you're happy, and oh my goodness, it's it's really nice to feel happy.
Do you want to watch it on your own this week, and then next week's show we can talk about it again?
You think that would go over well?
I don't care.
Okay, sure. So you told us to, we were watching the oh, I did know the name of this. We were watching a show that abruptly ended after season 3.
Oh, you're watching Kaminsky Method.
I want to say Kaminsky, but I couldn't come up with Kaminsky Method. And it's really, really good. And we're we're behind. So we sometimes watch things that like came out 8 years ago. And there's a lot of episodes. Anyway, we're watching that. And then it ended. And usually when the show ends, Joel says, "Do you want to watch another one?" And then we decide. So it ended, and he said, "Wait, where's the next one?" Now, I don't know if it's a recent show and there are
You
more.
ran out of episodes and didn't know the finale was coming up.
It was 3 seasons. I don't know if are
Oh,
there
I
more
hate that
shows?
feeling. Oh,
Are there more shows? And
I don't
was
watch it.
for Lauren, I was like, the daughter just, well, I'm not going to say because it was so much in the middle of stuff, and that was the end, just like real life. And you told me to watch White Lotus.
Oh no,
What's the matter?
there will not be a 4th season.
Yeah, I thought it was the end of the show. So you told us to watch White Lotus, and I put it on the calendar for last Sunday night. Wait, what day is this? Sunday. I put it on the calendar for Sunday night. And sometimes Joe and I have a joint calendar so that we can see, what people already have planned.
I have a joint calendar also, but I think it's a different thing entirely.
I'm sure. So I don't know which calendar. I put it on just on my calendar, and I was going to surprise him after dinner and like turn on this thing and say, "Oh, look, there's a new series for us to watch. Rick recommends it." So we sat down and he turned on the TV and I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, Nora said we have to watch White Lotus. I was like, oh, that was my surprise for tonight.
Ah,
Told him like just that morning. And
I did. If you want to keep it clean, I did tell you both about it days before that, so it's all
No,
good.
I'm not surprised. Oh,
You
no,
poured-
no,
did you start
did.
it?
Wait, I know you didn't. That's why I put it on my calendar for
Oh, of
Sunday,
course.
but I didn't tell him. We started it. Oh my, I watch it cringing through my fingers. And yet Joel says, you want to watch another one? I'm like, yeah.
There are
Other
only
thing
6 of
is,
them.
I read, what?
There's only 6 of them.
I don't answer this question, okay?
Okay,
Don't answer this
I
question.
promise I won't
I want to
answer.
know if we find out at the end what happened. And the whole show is about, when are they going to tell us? What is this the scene? Oh my God, they're in the water. Is it going to be now? It's like,
I know, it's very
really
tense.
inviting. And
Yeah,
it's so outrageous. It is so funny and so outrageous. What a wacky family.
all
Oh
of
my
them.
goodness.
They're all wacky.
And there's only 6. Well, we're on,
And there will be a season 2 of this show, though. So if you when you do finish it.
so it still won't tell me what happened. This is, it's really.
I don't want to. I'm not a spoiler.
I'm not telling
person.
anybody anything. I'm just saying. It's like, what happened? Ugh.
Well, I think we should call it. I think you should go watch ET, and next time we talk on the podcast, we should talk about ET, and maybe you'll have finished White Lotus by then. I'm totally down with our interruption of quarantine talk and vaccine talk and mask talk and missing David talk to talk about film talk. And so I'm in favor of this. I really appreciate this. I feel
I'm
good.
gonna put my notes away and use them next time.
Oh, good. All right. Any questions?
This was, you made it easy on me.
My girlfriend did get a Everybody and Their Mother Has a Podcast T-shirt, which was very cool.
This morning.
see
She
if
just
you're
texted me while we were,
She just texted you just now.
about 10 minutes ago. It reminds me of, who was that?
Unbelievable.
I hate when I pull for names.
So she gave me the space so we could podcast and quiet, and then she left and texted you. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Hadid, what was the architect who passed away? The woman, Hadid, the most amazing architect. She designed stuff 35 years ago that couldn't be built because the
Zaha Hadid. I did not know her name either.
Zaha Hadid. She could, we did not have the physical ability to build the buildings. And then like 35 years later, she put some of that into her buildings. She's done brand name buildings all across the world. And she was giving a lecture on her architecture one time. And a friend of hers was in the audience, pardon me, and her friend was in the audience and the friend's phone was off, but it vibrated. And she picked it up and she looked up while she was lecturing on structural analysis of different metals and angles, and she's looking at the audience. She's like this. She's texting her girlfriend in the seat, like about something. Do you want to go to dinner or something? I mean, it's amazing. Anyway,
Multiple tracks.
I'm a big fan. What?
Multiple tracks.
Multiple tracks. I mean,
So I saw this merch. If you are enjoying the show, please get some. It says "Call Your Mother," which is cool. If you subscribe, thank you. If you haven't, smash that button now. It's a little thing, a little stuff. You know what to do. I love you.
tell them to see
You
us
tell 'em.
on. I am. Tell them to see us on YouTube. It's much more full and interesting. And pardon me, if we do something that looks, well, you know how to do it. You just make fun of people if you want to, but it'll envelop your thoughts, and it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah, links are in bio. Follow us on social. We're around. I love you.
YouTube and look up Everybody and Their Mother Has a Podcast. I love you.
I love you too. Don't forget to call your mother.
Doesn't it seem like everybody
See ya.
and their mother has a podcast? We wanted a theme song so you could sing along.